Thanks, Basil. I just want to give you a bit of an insight into the Saturday afternoon team. We're a bunch of unique individuals.
Hello and welcome to episode 26 of the Unique Individuals podcast. Good to have all the boys alongside me once again. How are we going, lads?
Going well, mate. Should be a good episode. The words are not there. The words are not there today. The connection between my brain and my mouth are not working. But happy to be here. Should be a good episode.
Yeah, happy to be here. It should be good. Yeah, let's get the words out.
Good to be here.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Good stuff, lads. Bit of a hiccup there for
bit of a
Mansell.
doozy.
Yeah, but we proceed. What's been happening, boys? Let's start with Connor, maybe. There hasn't been much happening other than basketball. Quite weak, but obviously Connor always has something to tell us. So, Connor, the mic's yours.
Nothing major, but as per usual, obviously played footy again. Didn't go the way we'd like. I think we lost by about 50 points or so, but we played good for 3 quarters and got absolutely thumped in a quarter. It was against Canterbury, and it was probably one of the worst grounds I've ever played on, except for the early juniors. When we didn't really care less, but it was a terrible ground. Shit bunch of blokes, like the Canterbury boys. Terrible canteen.
Tell about the story that one guy was purposely getting you with his studs of his footy boot.
Yeah, one bloke was standing on my feet, and I've got like stud marks in the back of my Achilles from him. And he was, I don't mean to be too personal, but probably 35, overweight, probably unemployed, lives with his mum. So good on you, mate. He's like, I've kicked a goal. How many you kicked? So which was not much of a flex really. We kicked 4 goals. They'd kicked 10 or 11. So good on you, hero. I think you know who you are. But yeah, we lost that. But there was some positive signs. Obviously, we got a few back, but we were still missing some players, which is disappointing. And then the day after, I went to Icon Park, watched the Coates High Talent League or whatever it's called. I'll just call it the NAB League. Had a few cousins playing and a family friend for the Rebels girls, and they went pretty well, like individually. The team lost against Gold Coast 18's Academy, which they were a really good side. And then the boys after, there was obviously a few boys from Warrnambool, which is not far from where Blair and I live, and we played against a couple of them, so that was good to see, and that was quite a good game. And there was some players that, really impressive, that I don't see a way that they won't get drafted in the next year or so. So, it was a good weekend all in all, but there wasn't a lot, really.
Yeah, fair enough. No, good stuff. Blair, yourself, mate, what's been happening with you?
Yeah, obviously attended the footy as well. Unfortunately, as team manager, we went down again. I don't have a great track record since I've taken over. I think we've only lost by nearly 100 points. So I'm not sure if that's something to read into or not. But Saturday I went and attended Jazz's calisthenics concert later on Saturday. So I was at the footy, then went there. Busy day Saturday actually, that was good. She tore it up as per usual, and then had a house party, Ronda and myself, on Saturday night.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, which it was quite a large one. It was down in Brunswick, and a bit of a doof, so festival fits, and lots of alcohol there. So unfortunately, I think, I'm going to be honest, I think I actually did get alcohol poisoning. I've been pretty crook in the days after it was. So it was by far the worst I've been in my whole career. And Hugo can vouch at basketball. I come along to do the scoring. I didn't actually, I was barely in a state to drive late Sunday night. All Sunday I was just sleeping, and I threw up at lunchtime Sunday. Sorry for the viewers. Sorry for the viewers and listeners.
Every time you have alcohol, this kind of stuff happens.
Nah, that's not true.
Yeah, I think it is. You can back me up there.
Nah, that's not true. This is every time. No, that's
not quite. Rubbish. You just hear about it when it does happen because it's a bit more noteworthy, I guess. But
I go out every week and just have a few drinks and get home at normal hour. But this one got a bit large, and I realised I did the math, crunched the numbers. Had about 16, 17 drinks, which that'll probably do it to you. 8% 2.4 standard cans, double blacks.
That's terrible.
Beer pong, it's not good. So yeah, sorry to mum and dad out there. I hope you're not listening. And yeah, it was good. Well, it wasn't good actually. It was bad. And then yeah, next day I was cooked. Basketball, we can sort of segue into that because that's all I did. And I've sort of been recovering since. I only started eating normally really yesterday. So
yeah, right. We'll get I guess Hugo's thoughts on the basketball game that happened Sunday. Another win.
Another hectic one too.
Yeah, well, Hugo, you were there as well as Mansell, Connor. You're all
yeah, I was there taking in the deep breaths.
But you were on the court, Hugo. How was it for you, mate? And I guess talk to us about the events that happened on the court.
Basketball was good. Good to get another win. I think we're still, not undefeated, but we've been undefeated since round one. So we're coming into our own. It was stressful Sunday, I'm not going to lie. Connor and Blair rocked up late and I was trying to get them on the court so I could sit on the bench and watch the end of the St Kilda game. Which, 3 minutes into the game I took a quick sub when our fill-in arrived and I could watch the end of the game next to Blair.
Close game.
Yeah, it was a close game.
It was nervous.
Yeah. Oh, it would have been.
Yeah.
I was updating you when I was doing the scoring. I'm like, 10 points, 10 points. And the other team's like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, no, this game's only 3 points. Yeah. Different game, mates. But.
Yeah, and then, so my head wasn't really in the game. I didn't play well, fair to say. But, Mason played well. He knocked down three threes or something like that. He was on fire. Mansell hit a nice floater.
It's
but that's all right.
It's his best shot.
Jokes. Then we sort of came to an abrupt end. There was potential for a massive all-in brawl, but the umpire smartly called it off, so nothing else to really report about.
I think it's smart when we're in front anyway. I think it was the other way around. It's like
I mean, I don't know if I go as far as say it's smart, but I think, it's the same sort of story every week at the old Whittlesea Basketball Association. So, no disrespect. I mean, we're contributing to it, no doubt. But yeah, it got a bit heated there. Really, it's happened sort of every week. We've had
it's a weekly
incidents,
and
I feel in George. There was a lot of chirp, going on between our side and their side throughout the night. George and Mason were throwing a few barbs each way, and then Ronda pipes in with the old little chat back, and then tempers rise, and one of their players stopped in front of George, just running down the court and just full on stopped in front of him. Coward move. George just collided into him, knocked him over, fell on top of him, well, sort of around him, but got him good, and as deserved. But then, George has thrown the leg at him while he's on the ground. George just went for the kick at his leg, and then that bloke, then there's a push, and then Meso was pushing, and then there was jumper pushers. Their bloke got kicked out of the stadium, and then he got ejected. It was getting heated, and then the umps made a sensible decision to call the game off with 6 minutes to go, and obviously we were ahead. But yeah, once the ump said game over, scores as stays. Obviously, George and the boys got up and about, and their side got even angrier. So, to Coke, butter, and whatever their team is. I mean, we still come in peace, if I can say that, and look forward to seeing you boys next time.
Yeah, well, I wasn't at the game. I had work, unfortunately. But when I heard the results, and I was like, well, it was 14-24, I think the scores were, and quite low scoring. So I was like, these are just, guys missing shots. And then when you said the game got called off early, I actually wasn't even surprised. I was like, this is becoming a weekly occurrence kind of thing, guys getting in fights and brawls. But win's a win, and take it.
Well, yeah, I actually just want to go back to Hugo's love for the Saints before the game. As you said, we're waiting for Connor to get there, waiting for our fill-in. Shout out to Luke to come as well. And we had 4 as we were about to enter the court. And so it was me, Hugo, Mason, and George. Then Connor rocks up just before the tip-off, right? So while there's 4 on the court, Hugo's got his phone and tactically put it on the sideline facing the court so he could watch the game in the middle of our game. And then Connor jumps on and Hugo jumps off. I'm like, Hugo, there's still only 5 players on the court. You've got to play. And
Selfishness.
Threw the phone down on the ground, slid about 10 metres, and then he ran back on the court. And then the game was still going, so me at the scorer's bench took the opportunity to go over and grab the rolling KO footage and bring it to the scorer's desk so I could just sort of update him. And then he come off, he was like, where's my phone? I'm like, no, it's all good, I've got it, it's all good. It's all
He
good.
just gets stressed. When
He's like, is it still 10 points? I'm like, it's still 10 points. He's like, oh. And then the siren blows. Obviously the head was in a different game. He's giving fist bumps. I'm like, mate, the scores are about here. But, you know, let's dig in here.
Look, I can relate to Hugo. Like, when you've got such a passion, like, you can't not watch the game. Like, whether you've got something on or not. Like, I actually hate when we have events when Richmond play because it just sort of stresses my whole night and I can't really be the best version of myself out there because I'm just anxious and at times a little bit moody, at times a bit angry, and treated people with bit more disrespect than what I should have. So I apologise for that over the journey, but there's too many to apologise to. But it gets tense. It does get very tense.
Well, before we move on to the sport talk, we forgot to mention early in the podcast that a punishment once again is happening, not exactly today, but before next episode. Jackson, once again, you have found yourself in the punishment line.
Never learns.
It doesn't. This is about your third or fourth, mate. I mean,
it's my third.
Your third.
Yeah,
so,
that's my third.
I mean, he's not learning.
3 strikes, you're out of here.
No, Blair, we've got the punishment set for Mansell.
Can I just say something before I Alright, so I've been a Celtics fan for about a decade, best part of a decade. A decade. It's not like a year.
Florida though, in and out.
It's not like I'm with the New York Knicks. But,
no, that's rubbish. It's fair. No,
anyway,
it's actually not.
But anyway, I've seen this fall short on numerous occasions, right? Like you've got Game 7 of the 2018 Eastern Conference Finals against LeBron-led Cavs. You've got Bam Adebayo's block in Game 1 of the 2020 Eastern Conference Finals, which saw us lose in 6 games, ultimately. And then last year's NBA Finals against the Warriors, right? But no moment has left me more infuriated than what transpired during Game 2 on Saturday. Down 1-0 already after losing at home on Thursday, it seemed all smooth sailing until the final 6 minutes and 37 seconds. A 27-footer put Boston in front, up by 9, and one step closer to getting this series back on track. Until the biggest numbskull to ever walk the face of the planet, or walk on a basketball court for that matter, and yes, Connor has even walked on that court, did the stupidest thing I have ever seen in my life. He decided to trash talk playoff Jimmy. Can I ask you a question, Grant? I'll look down the barrel. Can I ask you a question? What did you do during lockdown in 2020, right? Because like every single basketball fan or person that has ever been invested in the game watched The Last Dance and knew that MJ just absolutely tore it to shreds. It was the moral point of the film, of the series, whatever, right, was to not trash talk Michael Jordan, right? Now, Playoff Jimmy is not Michael Jordan in the flesh, but he's the closest that we've got, right? Playoff Jimmy, in terms of his grit, his tenacity, his perseverance, has been some of the best that we've seen, right? So, to ignite the smallest of sparks and turn it into Inferno provides the same vibe as asking for a left-handed screwdriver when you go to Bunnings, right? So, Grant, if I were you, book a trip to Cancun, not that you deserve it, and don't ever put on a Boston jersey again, because I've just about had a gutful.
Whoa, wow. Might need to make this a segment.
Boy, wowee.
Might need to make this a segment because he's obviously going to get plenty more certain he's wrong, and he's going to have to apologise a few times. So we'll have to get out the old blowtorch. But mate, you're right. When you're nothing like Grant Williams is, when you've got the head like that looks like a sore thumb, you know, like you can't be saying anything because like you're nothing compared to Jimmy Butler, and you know, he couldn't have helped you win, but he certainly helped you lose, that's for sure.
Yeah. What I found most funny about that was how Mansell just out of nowhere had a dig at you, Connor, about
numbskull, yeah.
Getting on the butt, well, clearly it's heated between the two when you're saying shit like that. But, you know, there's been a few numbskulls that I've seen to walk the court, mate. And I won't to return serve to you, but it's not good by you.
Well, we didn't even mention the punishment that Mansell has. Blair, I guess you can take this one.
Yeah, well, as a result of his spiel there, that doesn't change the fact that he's got a punishment. Thanks, shout out to Paddy, Uncle Lindsay, for sending in the punishment that has been chosen for Jackson Mansell.
One of Latrobe's great.
Has to walk around the Agora for 1 hour with a sign around his neck that says, "Tell me why I vote Liberal in the next election." So at 1 hour, we'll time it. It'll be the full 60, and that'll be in the following week. So if anyone's been at Latrobe campus, they know that there's a lot of people that have lots of different views on politics. And we're hoping that they share a piece of their mind with Mansell. So, we can't wait. Mansell, how do you feel about this one, mate? It should be...
it's a very creative idea.
It is. I really like it from Uncle. It's... it's a different flavour, and he's not sucking a milk bottle here. He's walking around in public.
Yeah, well, to sort of allude to the other two punishments I've done, I've had to taste some different things, and this is definitely a bit different. Thank you, Paddy, I suppose, for the punishment. I suppose I'll take it in my stride. Fall asleep if I need to. After hearing all this, but yeah, I mean, even if you just want to have a yarn or something like that to me, by all means, go for it. So.
And also, shout out to Monique and Jazz and everyone else that sent in, punishments, because we like that. We like to have a few options. So next time someone buggers up, we want a bit of choice there. So thanks to all those. Obviously, Monique went a bit bananas. Unlucky not to get picked this week with her 3 or 4 suggestions, but. The Agora one will be good. We're looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And send them in next time Mansell's a punishment.
Well, you can start sending him in now if you want.
He'll get his next punishment. He'll get his next send
him in advance.
It's only a matter of time, so we can get organised early for it.
Yeah, that's been good, boys. We'll get into the sport talk, and we're a lot happening in the AFL, and also round 10 recap. Mansell.
Well, before we get on to round 10's action, big news out of the footy world. Sounds like I was in a similar position last week. Damien Hardwick has decided to leave the Richmond Footy Club effective immediately. I know we've got 2 Richmond supporters in joining us on the panel. Boys, you'll probably be able to give us a first-hand look into what it's like for a Richmond supporter to lose your coach who has been at the club for 13 years. Built a dynasty over the late 2010s. We'll start off with you, Blair. I suppose, where were you at the moment that you heard the news, and what were your thoughts?
I think I heard it might have been, what was it, Sunday night?
Somewhere in Spain.
Was it Sunday night? Or
no,
Monday night. Yeah, Monday night I heard, obviously that's when it sort of come out from Tom Morris that it was potential, like he's set to quit tomorrow. And look, it was a bit disbelief. I was like, I don't really believe that until Tommy Morris got to check it past, and I don't really believe what he says until I sort of see it. And it's just so random, unexpected as well. So I didn't really buy it until, I started seeing more about it. And then the next day, obviously, by the time I woke up the next day, it was pretty much, certain that it was going to be happening and he was going to chat to the players and stuff. So, disappointing, a shock. Sad. It is a bit of sadness there. 15 years I think he's been at the helm, and Connor and I, when he started coaching, were in prep. So it's all we've sort of ever known, the leadership of Dimmer, and it's just one thing that has been the same, a constant throughout our lives, and obviously now it's different. So and what he's done for the club it's been incredible. So it's a bit of an empty feeling that he's gone, and I said to Connor, like, obviously it's not to this extent, but it just does feel like someone that you don't know or famous or that has passed away, because it's just like he's not going to be around the Richmond Footy Club anymore, and what he's done over a long period of time when he could have got sacked in 2016. The club stuck with him in 3 flags in 4 years. It doesn't happen very often, so it's pretty sad from my perspective. I'm still sort of probably don't really believe it until we start and no farewell and that. It's just a different circumstance. The effective immediately, even if it was like at the end of the year, you'd be like, bit of time to adjust to it. But yeah, he's gone. So Connor, it's Connor made a TikTok that would bring you to tears.
Check it out. It's well made. Would have taken you all night, I reckon.
It took a little bit of time, but
through it.
Yeah, Connor Burns _52 is
the followers.
Is the TikTok. So chuck it a follow if you want. I'd like to think there's some good content in there. But like you said, boy, we found out Monday night, and the irony was of that was I was wearing just full kit of Richmond gear as part of a theme bit for a beer pong tournament with Big Dom, Dom Tracy. Shout out to the great man, fellow Richmond fan. But I didn't really believe it at first, and like you said, Tom Morris, checkered past. Who knows what to think with that bloke? But the reports come through, and it became clear that it was true and that it was happening. And it's I don't know if disappointed is the right word. Like, I'm sad. Like it is a very sad moment because he, like you said, he's all we've ever known since we're about 7. He's been the coach. He took over in 2010 when the club was like in a lot of turmoil, like $1 million debt. No one was coming through the gates to watch games, and no one really had an interest in Richmond at all. And him and Brendan Gale had huge ambitions and were pretty much laughed at. And those first few years were tough, just playing kids and kind of developing a list that was going to take us further, and then made 3 elimination finals and couldn't get past it, but you saw it was building. And then 2016 was a fair step back, and everyone was calling for his head, and everyone wanted him to quit, and was looking for him to just really crack. But the club stood by him after a review of it all, and then three flags in 4 years, and really just changed the fabric of the footy club, I guess. Now 100,000 members for the 7th year running. Flags financially they're doing great. Got a great football club and facilities, and a lot of supporters and a lot of people that care about Richmond. So it's going to be a bit tough to adjust to, and hasn't really sunk in fully, and I don't know if it will for a little while, because it's all we've ever known. And such a great coach for the football club, and will go down as probably Richmond's greatest ever coach, and one of the best, not only on the modern era, but ever really.
Yeah. Owen and Hugo, I suppose from an outsider's point of view, what are your thoughts on Dimmer's legacy at Richmond?
Incredible coach. Not many can win 3 flags in 4 years and change the football club like that, because Richmond at rock bottom around that mid 2010 stage or whatever. But a bit of a shock to just leave like that. But hopefully Richmond can work it out. And but overall, Dim's had a great legacy, and he's well respected by all the Richmond community and players and coaches. So it's going to be a bit of a new system obviously for Richmond, and kind of just trying to work it out without him. But for what he's done for the club's been quite remarkable.
It was a bit of a shock on Monday night, but good to see former St Kilda great Andrew McQualter get the gig as caretaker coach. He's
doesn't matter about Tim at all. Moving on to McQualter, but McQualter's, I think he's good coach. Been there since 2014, and they said the system's not really going to change. Or they're going to preach exactly what Dimmer preached. Probably just need a different voice. And he said a few things about they need a new voice, and I think he said that he's trying to cook the sausages 1,000 ways and he couldn't find 1,001, which was a really, really great quote, and showed that he's just lost a bit of the passion for it. And I think he said last year, once you lose the passion and start questioning yourself, that's when he was going to be done, and he stuck to that. And I still think he's left. I think the list is in a good position, despite not getting the wins this year. We could have easily been 6-3 rather than 3-6. So we're definitely not at rock bottom, and it's a different situation. Normally coaches go when they're not seen as being good enough by the club.
All right, we'll move on now to the round 10 action, and it all kick-started on Friday night with Port and Melbourne. So, they've adopted the names Yardapulti and Naarm for Indigenous round, and Yardapulti got it done by 4 points over Naarm, and Zach Butters, 41 disposals, 10 clearances, 6 marks and 2 goals. The question I do want to ask though is about Naarm, and they've only won one game against the top 8 side this year. My question to you boys is that have they been overstated as a finals contender? The question's been doing the rounds, I suppose, this week. Just want to get your thoughts on the situation.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. I mean, they've lost close games. Port are really finding some good form now, and Butters, Rosie, even Horn Francis working really well in the midfield. I watched most of the game on Friday night, and Butters, 41 touches, 2 goals, 9 clearances.
What a game too.
Yeah,
to be like
wet conditions. Yeah,
and be the difference in a game that's tight.
Rosie the same. 30 touches and a clutch goal right at the end, and Horn Francis really clean in the wet for a youngster. Like the list is looking really good, Port. And but for the D's, I wouldn't be too worried now that Oliver's out for a month with the hamstring injury. That's gonna, be hopefully. It'll be testing for the D side in the midfield to obviously replace Oliver in the midfield. But I wouldn't. Not too concerning for the D's. They just got to, work it out, and especially against the better teams. But we're not even halfway through the season, and the D's see themselves comfortable in where are they, 4th or 5th, around there. So they're doing all right. It's probably what most of us would have expected. But great game on Friday night.
Just on the D's, I wonder if they're sort of trying to do a reverse of what they did last year. They might have got their conditioning to peak at around the middle of the year, early of the year, because remember they were 11-0, and then they just capitulated in that second half. So maybe they've sort of taken a lighter pre-season so they can hit their load for the strength and conditioning part of their program as they're coming into the second half of the year, so they're right to go for finals and they're hitting their straps at that point. So it's an interesting watch to see on that.
Yeah, I was going to say similar to that, because you look at them, they're 4th, right? They've won 4 of their last 5. That was their first loss in a fair while. And they haven't been winning by much, but they've been winning. So I think, if anything, they're still second favourite to win the flag, behind the Pies. So I think if you look at their last games, they had, they beat Gold Coast by, I think, 5, so just got up there. Went down to Port by 4. Tigers, they only just got us in the last. So I think, if anything, it's actually a good sign for them that they're winning games and they're not playing their best footy yet. They've got a lot to give yet. They'll get a lot better than this, and I think they'll peak at the right time, because I think they're playing well enough to just get it done against sides that are having a crack. Gold Coast and Suns are 13th and 14th. Gold Coast and Tigers, we're 13th and 14th, those two sides, and they've only just got over top of those two teams. And Port are obviously playing not too bad, so I think it's good signs for D's, to be honest. They're 4th, they're sort of flying, and they haven't played near their best footy yet. And once they get, obviously they'll miss Clary for a couple of weeks, but once they get him back, late in the year, I think they'll be very good.
Yeah.
Sniff for the flag.
Well, Yardapulti on the other end have won 7 on the trot, and their next 2 games, they've got Richmond on Sunday afternoon before they play Hawthorn at Adelaide Oval. We'll move on to the Saturday afternoon game, and there was a bit of controversy around this between North and Sydney. Blair and Owen were glad that this happened, because otherwise they'd be in a similar position to me. But there was an interchange cap infringement, 50-metre penalty that was paid against North Melbourne, which saw the Swans hit the front. I don't think anything like this has happened in probably the best part of a decade.
Bizarre scenes though on Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow, what a punishment to cop.
And North deserved to win that game. I mean, I know Blair and I, we wanted Swans to win because otherwise we're getting punishments this week, but it felt like North were robbed from that win. And because they were the better team for 3/4 of the game, I'd say.
Not only infringement, but what a price to pay. 50 metres in the square, you can't,
That's the
10
thing. If
metres
it
out.
was like in the Swans' defence, it would have still been a free 50 metres, and then game would have kind of been in the balance still.
To be where it was,
Yep.
incredibly unlucky, and to see him lose like that. What was left, like under a minute?
It's all because Liam Shields got a cramp. Come on, mate.
It's there'll be I would not have. Would have been interesting to be a fly on the wall in those like in the north rooms afterwards. There'd be a few blokes that I imagine would not be happy. That's a shocking way to lose a game. You don't see that.
Still plenty of concerning signs from Swans as well.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be beating North by convincing.
Not by an
convincing
umpire call
yeah.
on the siren. Yeah.
You know, and Buddy still has hope, and most of the club still has hope, but I can't see it. I really can't. It's nothing's. They're not showing anything that's making me feel like, oh yeah, real finals contender, you know?
No, they're a shadow of the side they were. Like it's hard to believe they played in the grand.
We rattled them.
They barely played in the grand final.
Geelong rattled them.
They barely played, to be honest, did they? They barely turned up on the day, but it's hard to think they were in a grand final last year.
Yeah. I always have belief in Sydney, but just with their injuries, like they're not going to get blokes back like when they need them, and it's like they need them now. Like the McCartan boys and Rampy, they're gone for weeks, and
Mills is out.
Or Paddy potentially gone for career ending. So like, and that's it. Yeah, like they're a strong defensive side. They have been in the past, and that's really affected the whole ground for them, and they're just easy to score against now. And other than Errol Gordon, I don't know, there's not too many positives coming out of the Swans.
Well, the Swans this week face Carlton on Friday night, where they will have to try and defend the two reigning Coleman medalists in Charlie Curnow and Harry Mackay. We'll keep moving down the list in terms of Saturday's games. The Bulldogs got it done in Ballarat over Adelaide by 45 points. Freo beat Geelong by 5 goals down over in Perth. Geelong have got now 10 of their next 13 games are against top 10 sides in terms of their run home. Brisbane beat Gold Coast in the Q Clash by 43 points after a strong last quarter. And let's go to the Dreamtime game, which is now also known as Dimmer's last game. Richmond held a lead in the dying stages. And Essendon win by a point after Sam Durham kicked.
Former Richmond VFL player.
Was he?
Yeah.
I didn't actually want to say that.
Great game from him though.
Could have picked
Not just
him.
the last quarter. I know we got 9 touches in the last quarter, but for a youngster, 21, big impact in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't really watch the game. I think that was one of the few moments I saw. I saw the first quarter, and we absolutely dominated inside 50s, but like the whole season, really just can't finish our work in front of goal and can't just hit targets. Like pretty much every game we've played, we should have been up by 3 or 4 goals at quarter time. Like we've started strongly in terms of field position, but can't kick goals, and that's now 12 of with other than a few draws, I think, being against Fremantle and Carlton. Our last 12 games, like close games, have been losses. So
which is a concern.
Oh, it definitely is. Like that's more than it's more than a one-off sort of thing. And some of them are a little bit unlucky, but not 12. You gotta
at least half.
You got to break even with them, and like you see, like teams like Collingwood, and I mean, like Collingwood are the major one, but other teams as well. They're winning them half the time, but Collingwood pretty much win everyone, and it just has such a big difference to where you finish on the ladder in the end, because we really should be 6-3 or 7-2 in the draw. We should be in a lot better position than what we are. We're not that far off, but that's why you got to play 4 quarters in AFL these days.
Well, I don't think you should be there, but like what you said, you're not far off. Like Richmond need to
we should
capitalise on.
We should have won a couple. We should have won a couple of those close games, and then we're in an okay to good position. Like we definitely should have won a few.
You'd probably be like 5-5 now, or if you were
better
winning
than
more
that.
close games.
Better than that.
Well.
We haven't even lost. We've lost 6 games, and if we won a couple, we obviously don't lose 5 games. We lose 4 or 3, so we should be better than what we are.
But anyway, it was a great game. I mean, classic Dreamtime game. And how long, Mansell, was it? The drought, was it 13 games?
Yeah, it was 13 games.
Yeah, so and then it was obviously close to 80k in the house. Great occasion. But yeah, I won't say any more on that one.
Yeah. No, they were due, Essendon. They've been a bit of an insipid footy club. But
they were due for a win. They were.
Has to happen.
Fair enough then. We'll move on now to Sunday afternoon and the so-called Harley Reid Cup.
Welcome to Optus Stadium, Harley. Good.
The Hawks win by 126 points.
116.
Or 116.
But that's okay.
Same.
When it gets past 10 goals.
It's a big margin anyway, that's all we need to know. Yeah, boys, I suppose from the Eagles standpoint, it is obviously a big loss, and you're saying already welcome to Optus Stadium. You know, if they get the number one pick, I will always say if because it hasn't been locked in. Do the Eagles select Harley Reid, or do they decide to trade the pick away and sacrifice short-term pain for long-term gain?
I think it really depends on what offers they get for pick one, because it's been reported there's been a lot of interest, obviously, in getting the pick one from other clubs. So I think you just got to wait and see, and they'll sort of weigh up the offers that you get. Like if you get 2 first-rounders for pick one, you probably won't do it. But if you get a third and maybe a fourth, then you really got to consider it. But like West Coast, like I reckon they're in a much worse place than North ever were. Like this is shocking.
They're a shambles.
Like,
Injury list, losing by big margins against the second worst team or third worst team.
even with
in
their
comp.
injury list, like their list in general, it's got no future at the moment.
Yeah.
Like they've got no real
A lot of
young
aging-
talent
a
coming
lot of
through.
aging- a lot of
Injuries
Asian
are happening
players.
to blokes that are 30, 31, 32. Lots of there's not many young blokes here like, oh, they're really missing him because he's injured. It's a lot of just experience, but it's grim, isn't it, really?
Yeah,
It's a hard watch.
They're
But
looking at like a 10-year rebuild.
yeah, it's
Like
gonna-
they haven't cut their list well enough.
Yeah.
And the only positive that like any West Coast supporter could take out of any of this is that in 2018 they got it done, because if they didn't, like, Jesus, like it's to lose by to kick 12, 13, 14 points in
You
3
start
quarters.
questioning. You start questioning yourself.
To kick 2 kicks through the big sticks in 3 quarters of footy
Yeah.
against one of the other worst sides in the comp. That the last quarter, Hawthorn kicked 8 goals to 1 point. It's hard to fathom that, really.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's not good.
Yeah, no, West Coast. Yeah, in a world of hurt, and I think like they've been one of the most unlucky sides the last few years, really, with the injuries. But I think if they didn't have injuries and they're playing like this, Adam Simpson's getting sacked. But I see him in the next few weeks potentially resigning, because there's been reports about he's just hugely anxious and frustrated and angry, I guess, with how things have gone. And I know he's been there quite a while too. He's one of the more longer serving coaches. So next 2 weeks or so, I think he might call it quits.
It's no easy gig being a West Coast coach.
Well, every
Right
coach
now.
at the moment under fire. Coaching's tough gig.
Yeah, well, the second biggest win from a bottom place side to start the round in history. The Pies, in other games, the Pies got it done over Carlton by 5 goals on Sunday afternoon, and the Saints held on to beat the Giants by...
It was
13?
12 or 13.
12.
Doesn't matter though, Max kicked 4. He's back.
Anyway, before Hugo starts getting happy and starts talking about the Saints for 45 minutes, let's move on to the next round and the second instalment of the Sir Doug Nicholls round. And we start off with Friday night. The Swans take on the Blues at the SCG, followed by Saturday's games. The Saints take on the Hawks at Marvel. Nam take on Walyalup, I believe that's how you pronounce it, at the MCG. Geelong take on GWS at GMHBA. Gold Coast and Bulldogs head over to Darwin on Saturday night, as well as Essendon travelling over to the west to take on the Eagles. Richmond will take on Yardapulti on Sunday afternoon at the MCG. The Pies take on the Kangas at Marvel at 3:20, and the Crows host the Lions at Adelaide Oval 4:40. All right, boys, I'll put it to you guys. Want you to give me your tips and your certainties.
Do you want me to go first?
Go for it.
Alright. This has been an interesting game because both teams lack of form at the moment. But I think Carlton will get over Swans. Saints over Hawks. Melbourne over Freo. Geelong over GWS. And that's my certainty. Dogs over Suns. Essendon over West Coast. Port over Richmond. Collingwood over North. And Crows over the Lions.
Connor.
I think Sydney over Carlton. Obviously, big game. St Kilda will beat Hawthorn pretty easily, I think. Melbourne will get back on track, but could be a good game. Geelong to beat GWS, and yeah, Sydney as well. Can't see them losing it. GMHBA. Gold Coast, I'm going to back in over the Western Bulldogs. I think Gold Coast are actually playing pretty well. Essendon over West Coast. Richmond over Port Adelaide. Collingwood over North Melbourne. And Brisbane over Adelaide.
I'm going to go the Swans over Carlton, Saints over Hawks, D's over Dockers, Cats over the Giants, Suns over the Dogs, West Coast over Essendon, just for a laugh.
You'd love to see it.
You would. I'll go...
Their odds at $10.50.
I'll
Load up.
go Port Adelaide over Richmond. And I'll go Pies over North. That's my certainty. And I'll go the Lions over the Crows.
I think mine are very similar to that of Hugo's. Sydney to beat Carlton. Saints to pump Hawks. D's get it done against Freo. Geelong win comfortably against Giants. Dogs beat Gold Coast. Essendon absolutely murder West Coast. Tigers to beat Port Adelaide. Collingwood to beat North, that's my certainty. And I'll go Adelaide at home.
They're not that similar then. There's 4 different ones between yourselves and Hugo's.
Yeah, well, I was going to go similar and then I just decided.
I know what you mean.
It's hard to follow similar suit when he picked West Coast.
You need to come back up the leaderboard because
half of them are different.
Yeah, I think Owen is on top. Last time I checked, then Connor and Hugo are neck and neck, and Blair is.
I'll get him by the end of the year.
Starting to tip for 2024. Owen, let's get into some Supercoach, shall we?
Yeah, let's get into some Supercoach.
Oh, okay. Somerset's passionate about it.
Summer in Spain.
Well, yeah, nothing much really changed. Supercoach ladder positions stay the same. Blair with the highest total points out of all of us on the weekend with 1,911 points. Connor, big loss for you. Hugo.
It's no bigger than normal. It's just a loss. It's just a loss that we take with a grain of salt and we move on to next week. But it'd be good if you boys can actually do a few trades with me and stuff.
Well, you haven't proposed any.
Stuff like that, you dogs. I do them all the time. You just don't.
No, you don't.
I do.
He proposed one to me.
Did he?
It was I declined it straight away.
He's got no trades pending, man.
Yeah, you don't.
It was.
It's because I stopped him for now, but I'm going to get back on it. But I'm in a world of hurt all season. Injuries. I'm blaming injuries. Let's be honest. I am because quite Nova out this week. You played something whatever consecutive games. Then when's Took back? Meniscus doesn't take that long. You fucking sook. Took if I was playing the AFL, I would have been back in 2 weeks. Sammy Doherty was back in 2 weeks and he didn't miss a beat.
Doherty won 35 for me on the weekend.
You've got 3 injuries. That's not that bad.
Did not miss a beat. What about me bench?
Yeah, including your bench.
What about Haynes? 7. Insipid. That guy used to be a bloke you were worried about coming into games because you thought he'd dominate. What are you doing now? I don't care that you're injured.
All Australian defender.
He's not anymore. My God, he's an absolute nerd.
Sard 50.
Sard like the rest of the Carlton team, just insipid. Just insipid.
Oh God.
Jack Crisp. Oh, don't get me started on Jack Crisp. Ever since he had that little thing where he disrespected women and girls, he's been... Can't get it. He's ruined multis all over the country and no one likes him, really. Let's be honest, the biggest wanker of all time, along with Hoskin Elliott. But, oh my. Gorney, 74. What are you doing, Gorney? You're just getting bullied by... Who is he... By... Scott Lysett. So Scott Lysett gonna bully you around? Really?
Wow.
Oh God.
That was like
Dylan, Joshua Shelley, like, you're the cockiest bloke. You think you're the best thing since sliced bread? Get a bit more than 61, you dog. All right. Dylan Moore, 79. You've won by 116 points. If he was half decent, he would have went out and kicked 10. He was playing against the bloody Oz kickers. My God. Adam Simpson.
Wait, what did Dylan Moore get?
79. 79.
Oh, it's funny. Oh, my God.
Hawkins 90. That's all right.
I think it's fair to say.
Not Steele 94. That's all right.
He's not happy with his Supercoach. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, Roy O'Brien's on the bench, 99. Max Gorn, 74. That could have got me back to the
You still would have lost that. I know,
but it would have got me back.
I need you by 200.
Harris Andrews, 56.
I need you by 200.
Brendan Cox on my bench, 83. 56.
7.
7. Hey, 7.
He got injured.
I don't care when he got injured. 7. Clayton over 120. He got injured. Toughen up, Clayton.
So this is Jason Dunstall dribble kick vibes right here.
Clayton Oliver did everything he could. He got 120. He was the best for Melbourne.
Toughen up.
What do you mean toughen up? He got you the points.
As soon as your hamstring got tight, just go off, you know?
He didn't go off.
He should have. He bloody should have.
You want more points though. Oh man,
I'm about to pass out in laughter.
That was tough.
I am at a loss, not for the first time, but I'm at a... There's not players available to pick. There's no one else.
I've never seen Connor explode for Supercoach. Like it's taken him 11 rounds to.
He's copped every week. He's copped. Here comes the buy and all this.
He's held it in and down today. Haynes 7.
There's no one better than Haynes out there, but I have to trade because he's injured for probably the next 10 weeks.
Well, clearly,
if you want to trade
7.
If you want to trade, throw out potential trade offers, and we'll see them.
I will. I'm making 10 trades a week just to my team. I am.
You're not. You're making like 2 or 3.
No, I'm making 6, 7. I'm making
That's
6
not
or 7. 6 or 7, mate. It's bloody enough. I want to see the trade differential between you boys and me.
No, we don't trade because our teams are long.
It would be, because you don't get injuries. It would be stark.
I got Parrish and Chalor on my bench. They're both injured.
The difference would be stark. It'd be absolutely... It's hard to deal with when you come in with such expectation. Such expectation. And you don't live on it. Like, I'll whip you boys in Classic, I'll tell you that much. I'd whip you.
Who cares about Classic?
Draft, who cares about draft?
Well,
Everyone.
My head's on the line.
I could trade every one of these players. Like, honestly, there's not a good one in here. There is not a good one.
Sounds like a you problem.
I got up against Hugo, I believe. Which is it's just the first time I've upset the apple cart against Hugo this year. So he's had the hoodoo over me for a while now. But 1-9-11. Look, I had a few grim weeks. I lost it.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened, but I lost to the bye. I don't know how it's possible. No offense. No, Connor, you know it. You know it's true.
I'm sorry about this emotion. It's been a tough week.
Oh God.
Anyway.
Have you got your box of tissues you got?
I got 1-9-1-1.
Oh,
the highest score of the round, and I copped a 35 from Cozzy Pickett. So, look, I'll take that, and we move on. I'm in third position, and I obviously, and but I'm pushing for second. If I had Owen this week, I would have knocked him off too. So
yeah,
you know, I think Owen's nervous.
No, I'm not.
He is.
I'm okay.
Nah, you're nervous.
I'm not really. You play these performances once a month.
That's not true.
Yes,
you look at my
All it takes is one game though in the finals. And
Mate,
you just sit back where you are.
I bet you by like 300 one week, mate.
No, I was like 200.
260. That's
It's
close to
got the wood over
302.
Alright, we'll move on.
Yeah, coward.
Yeah,
Basketball.
Mansell. Yeah, basketball, NBA.
So conference finals are well into the swing of things, and we almost had 2 series that were done by the recording of this episode. One of them's been done in terms of Denver and the Lakers. Denver swept the Lakers. Jokic and Murray put it on, and I suppose Hugo. What are your thoughts? I mean, there's talk now that LeBron could consider retirement and everything like that, and the fairy tale run is complete. I just want you to debrief, I suppose, your season, and what are your thoughts on LeBron's, I suppose, retirement? talks?
Well, I hope he doesn't. I think it'd be a massive loss for the game. We all enjoy watching LeBron play. He's one of the greatest to ever do it, and we probably do take it for granted a little bit how good he is. But no shame in losing to this version of Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Wasn't a massive fan of Jamal Murray after game 2 where he shot 3 for 13 or so in the first 3 quarters and didn't miss in the last. Can't say that word, but look, disappointing way to end, getting swept. Had two games I think where we were sort of within 5 points, could have stolen it. The last game was definitely disappointing, being up pretty much the entire game then losing. But Denver, I think, are going to win the finals. Jokic he's on another level at the moment. I mean, he even hit a step back 3 in the last game. Like, if you're 7'3" and you weigh about 300 pounds, how are you shooting like that? It was good I didn't really enjoy watching basketball at the start of the year. Starting 2-10, it was a bit depressing. Then the trade deadline happened and sort of got rid of Russell Westbrook, got D'Lo in, Dennis Schroeder, Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, sort of all those guys came in and gelled well. So it was a really entertaining second half of the year for me. But
Tristan Thompson.
What about Tristan? Look, plenty of good signs for next year. Hopefully we get Kyrie in the off-season. I would like to see that with LeBron.
So who would you prefer, Kyrie or Trae Young? Because they're both being floated as...
I'd prefer Kyrie if LeBron plays on.
Trae Young?
Oh, he's a very good player.
No one likes him.
He's a good
He
player.
knocked off the Knicks.
Yeah, no one likes him.
He
But-
knocked off the Knicks.
You have to say, Hugo, from your perspective, I guess you'd see it as you'd have to say it's a good season for the lads from where they come from.
Oh, absolutely. From where they started.
Yeah, so we just need Anthony Davis to have a healthy off-season, rest up, and then become an absolute monster next year and win us a championship. But, Boston and Miami, that's a good series so far. Unfortunately, Boston won a game, but...
After being down at half-time, Boston just found another gear and, won that game quite convincingly. They're playing... The next game is... Tomorrow, yep.
Yeah.
In Boston.
Yeah, back in Boston.
And I guess, Mansell, that brings us to your certainty tip. It doesn't have to be, I guess, tomorrow. It could be game 5 or... Well, it depends. Well, actually.
Tomorrow's game 5.
Well, the thing is that...
This is a weird one because he might have to go against his own team.
No, but the thing is that how can I do a certainty when it's one game? It's like doing it on a grand final. I think we agreed that I wasn't going to do it for basketball.
NRL.
Yeah, NRL.
The darts.
What?
Netball with your inner sanctum work that you can do.
Cole's not happy with this.
I don't believe. How was that an agreement? Like, this not come over my desk.
I will.
I'll tell you that.
We did speak about it before the podcast,
But that's what you signed up for. Like, would you? You wouldn't rather. But you wouldn't rather.
So give me a question.
no.
All right. So here's a question, right?
Answer me.
Would
you rather tip on netball that you know nothing about, mate?
Well, I've got the NRL fixture here.
And NRL that you know not much about.
Yeah,
Respectfully.
I'm just gonna fight through. We are in the bye rounds, which is a bit.
Did you boys know this? Because I never saw it.
I kind of was a bit 50-50.
Too many muddled things coming through the chat. Like too much shit.
Yeah,
I can't see it.
You stopped listening to your music before.
Yeah,
start listening to the conversation.
True, you already heard.
I think I'm gonna take the Dolphins over the Dragons as my certainty.
When's that?
That is tomorrow.
Dolphins over Dragons.
Did you look at the odds? What are the odds?
Yeah.
Oh no, Dragons are last, so. Dragons are having a tough season.
You guys do it. You guys
have Dragons in my game.
West Coast.
We won last week on the Siren. It was awesome. Bet the Chooks.
We don't. Yeah, you don't ever want to be one of those, man.
Dragons are good.
You don't want to be a Dragon.
We've sacked the
coach. Probably worse on West Coast, man.
Oh no.
So the comparison.
So you've done your certainty for an NRL match.
For an NRL
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night. Okay.
Tomorrow night. But yeah.
Cowardly, but you know. It is.
I didn't know we were changing from. Yeah.
That's alright. Have fun in the Agora.
Thank you.
Yeah, true.
Thank you.
We should probably give Mansell.
Dolphins are a new side. They're not going to win. I'm calling it. Dragons are winning this game.
And if
the Dragons.
And then you're going to get 2 in a row, and then you're going to have to do something bad.
He's really rolled up, isn't he?
I'm just speaking facts, man.
But yeah, if anyone wants to come and have a chat to me in the Agora, by all means go for it. But yeah.
That's it, boys. It's been a great episode. I hope. He's closed his laptop.
He's not happy.
When we're done, kind of just have a little probably therapy session or something. I think you might need to talk to a counsellor. So he's struggling at the
As long as I get my sushi, alright.
Well, we better end the episode so you can get your sushi. But
Thank
you to all the listeners and viewers out there.
Tuning in. Make sure to follow us on the socials and